Oh, happy Friday and welcome to Happy Hour. It's so good to see you all. Wait a minute, can you see me? I'm just setting down my drink and getting ready here. Welcome in. So it's all about the topic of monogamy and sort of how we date in the time of COVID and how we find love and what does that mean for us and where do we go with that and how do we do that? So, grab your drink. You know me. Gin and grenadine. Okay, so may today be better than yesterday, may tomorrow be better than today, and may all of your hopes and dreams come true. Cheers to you. And to all my brothers and sisters out there, the Masonic ones and the Eastern Stars, it's 9 o'clock somewhere, as you know. Cheers to you. So one of the questions in the inbox this week that I wanted to address was about how we date during the time of monogamy. You guys know, for me, I went through that sort of a period, and a lot of you have been figuring out what to do. You've been stuck inside with your partners. You haven't had a partner at all, and you've taken to Tinder and all sorts of Bumbles and all other kinds of sites that you've been swiping left or right, or you've been taking back to sort of your Rolodex and looking through it and going, okay, who have I talked to before in the past? We've been trying to connect with people in a way which is quite different than we've ever connected with people before in this generation, and perhaps to return to something of old, which was really good, and that's this idea of monogamy. So for too long I've been complaining about this sort of a free-for-all of non-committal dating where people jump from one person to another because we have this easy access in this internet age of being able to just sort of tap into anyone and anything. And what I think is really awesome about this time of COVID, if there's anything which is awesome, it's that it's made us focus, pause, chill out, and relax a little bit about how we date, who we date, and how we do that intentionally. So because we've been stuck inside and we haven't been able to sort of go out and be amongst other people, because we can't go to bars and things and have that sort of normal, we can't go out dancing and all these things, we've found ourselves really getting to know people little by little on the internet, through chat sites, through sort of dating apps, if you will. And then we've been able to sort of be really conscious about who we interact with physically, because there's this thing called coronavirus out there that has made us slow down. And I'm telling you guys, it's been really wonderful to see so many people's opinions change about love and relationship, commitment and fidelity. I have always been a person who was a one-at-a-time dater. I don't believe in sowing my oats across the earth, if you will. I think that can be a really kind of a messy way to date for several reasons. The first is because if I give you 50% of my attention and someone else 50% of my attention, and that's just two people, and not as if I keep dividing that into 25% or 30% or 10%, you're receiving so little of me that you can never really understand fully who I am. And I can never really share with you fully who I am, nor you with me. Because I've divided myself among so many people that I have given the portions which make sense to those people to those people. So there are people who date in that style, and I'm not here to condemn anyone for whatever style they have of dating, but I am going to tell you how it is that I have functioned and why I think it's interesting that we're coming to this place now. We're all kind of functioning in this much more anachronistic, if you will, and hopefully futuristic way of dating. I think that when you date one person at a time, you really get to focus on them. You're going to know whether there are things about them that you love or hate. You're going to know if there are things that you're like, that doesn't work for me. I go back to that Maya Angelou phrase of when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. I think there's something really wonderful about getting to know a person and going, this is not for me. Sexual attraction is not enough, right? There's all other sorts of things like family values. COVID has taught us family values. It's taught us what do we do when we're at home inside of our houses with no one else to sort of lean on but ourselves. It's made us realize what's important to us in life and the world and really what's not. And more importantly, it's helped us to focus in on our dreams and our goals in a real intangible way where we can sit, think about them, and understand intrinsically whether those are our own goals or whether they're the goals of the universe around us that really don't speak to who we are now that we've spent so much time with ourselves. So I submit that now is really the best time to look inside of yourself, those of you who are single, because I don't want to hear of you married people going out looking for new people. And I know coronavirus has done some of that too. But now is a really great time to look within yourself and say, okay, this is who I am. These are the qualities which matter to me. This is what I do when I'm in my own home space alone. And this is what I'm looking for someone else to be able to do with me. This is how I want to be enriched, and this is how I want to enrich someone else. And I have the time and the ability and the smarts during coronavirus to make that a one at a time sort of thing. So I submit to you that this really is a wonderful way of dating, and you should try it. You should try monogamy, really, because what will happen with polyamory most often, and there are very, very, very few cases I have ever heard of things working out well, and normally that's because sexual relationship isn't a possibility, or because there are other circumstances which make it impossible to remain committed to a person, i.e. a person is bisexual and has sort of a fanciful view on sexuality. A person has really become just friends and they've lost all the romance in their relationship, but they want to keep that together, right? There are these weird sort of things that I necessarily may not sign up for, but that you may have. But if you've got sort of a traditional aspect on relationship in which you want is this person who you can claim and who can claim you, then what I would submit to you is that any form of polyamory is only going to be a Pandora's box and a can of craziness that's going to open itself up one day and pour out in copious amounts. Because the truth is, the difference between a deep friend and a loving relationship is sex. Because everything otherwise that you do with your life partner is something that you can do with your dearest friends. So this romantic side of you, this connection that you have with people, this sharing of your most intimate moments in life is important. We talked a little bit, yes, about signs and symbols and touch and emotion, and those things carry through in all sorts of ways with us. Holding someone's hand can be extraordinarily romantic. Having someone hug you can be extraordinarily romantic. Having a shoulder to lean on and cry on, and someone to put your deepest and most darkest secrets into, in trust, who can hold them for you, is a really wonderful, sacred, and important thing. And when we share that one person with many people, what ends up happening is that other people feel like they may not be able to trust us intrinsically. They may not be able to sow those really deep, intimate, dark, wonderful secrets. They may not be able to have this really intimate understanding of who we are because we are not wholly theirs and they are not wholly ours. So I implore you, I beg you to try this monogamy thing out again. There are reasons why thousands of years ago human beings came together and said, you know, we need to make some rules around relationships. Because when we entwine our hearts with another person's, our souls with another person, our lives with another person, what we are doing is entwining our entire beings, our bodies, our metaphysical selves, our physical selves, into this other person. That's why relationships are such a really big thing, because they require us to come vulnerably into a situation, losing all other sort of cautions, if you will, to the wind. And they require us to say, I commit my body, my time, my emotional support, and my emotions to you. And that's a sacred bond which we should treat that way. When we treat it that way, we find these people who have these really magnificent relationships, because even in times of strife and difficulty and emotional unrest, they're able to come back to one another and say, you know what, that was a rocky road that we just went on, but we're here together on it. We're here for this journey together. So often when people turn away from their relationships to other people for the answers, what you then get is not only this sexual infidelity, but also this emotional infidelity. And it's a really hard road to mend, because it requires you to come again with a fully, completely vulnerable self to a situation that you now know maybe will repeat itself. Maybe the conditions which caused someone to turn away in the first place will come back again. And this fear, this really truthful emotion that we experience, this feeling, comes back to us, and it becomes overwhelming and very hard to get over. So I say to you, if you choose the contract of monogamy to begin with, no matter how you feel, or no matter what's attractive to you, and I want to talk about that because so many people say, oh my goodness, but we're human beings and we're attracted to all these things. Yes, we're attracted to lots of things. I'm attracted to all sorts of jewelry and clothing and pieces of furniture. I don't purchase those things and bring them home, because I have the necessities that I need. And if I need to add something more to my life, I look first for what I have to make sure that I don't have it already. There's just also this concept of 30-70. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's when you go outside of your relationship looking for the 30% that you feel you're not getting, and you find the 30% and you lose the 70, right? Because it's important for us to turn inwards to our relationships and work on them inwards. And that's not something we can do when we're constantly going outwards to other people to fix problems which we really need to come to them. So, in that, I say to you, what coronavirus has done for so many people is take away the option of polyamory. It's quite frankly dangerous to be with different people at the moment because you don't know where other people have been. So our trust factor about who's been out and who's been where and why and how is through the roof in I'm not really sure, which has made us focus a little bit more intentionally on the people that we choose to bring into our inner circle, into our homes, and into ourselves. And in that process of focusing, we found this really beautiful thing called connection. Real, true connection. So many people have been falling in love in the time of COVID because they've allowed themselves to be vulnerable. They've taken that feeling of loneliness and they've empowered it when they connect with other people who are also feeling those same things, and they've allowed each other to share and connect and be honest and real without the distractions of the outside world to tear them away from where they are. So if you're asking me, and many of you have in your inboxes, how do I date? What's this thing? Why is it failing for me all the time? The first thing you know I have always said back to you is, are you focusing on one person at a time? Or are you busy spreading yourself thin amongst the community? It's perfectly fine to have conversations and talk and this, that, and the other to find who it is that you want to date, who it is you want to talk to, who it is you want to speak to. By all means, search and be specific about what it is that you like and what you want. But once you find that person, once you've honed in on who it is that you want to get to know, pause and get to know that person. If you discover it's not right for you, when they show you who they are and you believe them, and it is either for you or not for you, make the choice to be with them or to go away from them. It's so much easier to walk away from a bad situation in the beginning than it is at the end. So when those warning signs come through, and you see a person is a little rude and nasty, a person has an emotional quotient that doesn't really meet who you are, a person has an alternative belief in God than you do, a person doesn't respect the sort of ideals that you respect, they don't want the same things that you want, or they abhor the dreams that you have, walk away. But when you find that fiery connection that makes you smile and you think about a person, you just want to call them and understand who they are and be with them more, focus. Focus on them and give monogamy a chance. Because the only way I find to walk into a real relationship in truth and sobriety is when you have allowed yourself to get to know one person at a time and choose with them each other. Until next time, don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and if you do, call me.